important happenings that followed the Battle of Plassey and finally the Battle of Buxar. Battle of Plassey, which took place in 1757, Battle of Buxar in 1764, and after that the concept of dual government or Dyarchy was brought by Robert Clive in 1765. As a part of the concept of dual government of Dyarchy, the Nawab had the administrative power. So Nawab had the power to maintain the law and order as well as the criminal proceedings, which were called as the nizamat. On the other hand, company was controlling the military. So company controlled the military and enjoyed the right to collect Diwani. Now the right was conferred on the company by whom? This right was confirmed by Shah Alam II under the Treaty of Allahabad, which was held at Buxar. Now, since company had the right to Diwani, company enjoyed the power, but company had no responsibility for the welfare of the citizens. So the welfare of citizens the welfare of subjects was not the responsibility of the company. Company did not interfere in the internal affairs of the region. But slowly, it was the time when the famine hit India in 1770, and at that point, the extensive corruption and inefficiencies in the government were brought, and it was during this time of the Bengal famine that nearly 1/3 people lost their lives. When 1/3 people were losing their lives, then in 1772, Warren Hastings was appointed as the governor. Now, Warren Hastings, who was appointed as the governor in 1772, he came to power and immediately abolished the system of dual government or Dyarchy. So, it was brought by Robert Clive, abolished by Warren Hastings. The system of dual government or Dyarchy was removed. The next was the Regulating Act. Regulating Act was brought in 1773, and this changed the function of East India Company from actually a trading company to officially an administrative power. We had seen that in Battle of Buxar already the ruling went into the hands of the British. However, officially it changed from a trading power to an administrative power after the Regulating Act, and company had the necessary powers for administration in the province of Bengal. Even the governor of Bengal now became the Governor General. So another important step which was witnessed here as part of the Regulating Act was the Governor of Bengal was now the Governor General. The next was the idea of Subsidiary Alliance. The Subsidiary Alliance was brought by Lord Wellesley. Lord Wellesley brought the concept of Subsidiary Alliance similar to the dual government or the Dyarchy by Robert Clive. Under the system of Subsidiary Alliance, which was brought by Lord Wellesley, who was the British Governor General of Bengal from 1798 to 1805, there was a mandatory compilation by the Indian states to have a permanent British force within their territory. So what was the idea? The idea was the Indian states must have a permanent British force within the territory and pay subsidy for the maintenance. So they had to pay the subsidy for the maintenance. Now, they were said that the idea was to protect the king or the Nawab, but this was actually a tribute to the company. So company said that why we are doing so? The reason is we are protecting the king. But actually this was a tribute to the company. Without the approval of the Britishers, no European would be employed in the service of the king. That was another important thing, and there was no idea to negotiate with any other Indian ruler without consulting the Governor General. So two important ideas, besides the fact that the Indian states had to maintain a permanent British force. The first thing was Indian state must have a permanent British force. The second important thing was no European can be recruited without the British permissions. And the third was, even if there are two other Indian rulers who want to negotiate, they would have to consult the Governor General. So the role of Governor General became important. And this was the idea. Now this in turn took place where Britishers defended the rulers from their enemies, but they at the same time said that they won't interfere with the internal affairs policy. So they were ideally they were to defend the Indian states from the neighboring states or from the other attacks, and they were not to speak in the internal affair matters. However, this concept failed, and that was one of the reasons for the Anglo-Mysore War which took place. Why this failed? Because they had promised that they would defend the Indian states, but Mysore was not defended when Marathas attacked Mysore, and this was one of the reasons that Hyder Ali from Mysore actually started a revolution against the English forces, which led to the Anglo-Mysore Wars, the series of Anglo-Mysore Wars. It is important to note that as part of the Subsidiary Alliance, the Nawab of Hyderabad signed the Treaty of Subsidiary Alliance in 1978 and 1800. So it was the region of Hyderabad which was under the Subsidiary Alliance. So this was about understanding what were the three important developments post the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar. These were the system of dual government or Dyarchy, where both company as well as the Indian state had their important positions. The next was the Regulating Act, and finally was the Subsidiary Alliance, where Indian states had to maintain a permanent British force, pay subsidy, and the British government said that this was actually a tribute to their government. However, there were no Europeans to be recruited without the British approval, and the two states cannot negotiate without the interference of the Governor General. So those were some of the developments which were seen under Subsidiary Alliance.